Hey everyone, and welcome back. So this is going to be a short video. What? Cordless Carpenter is going to do a short video? Yeah, it's going to be a shorter anyways video. Right, so I'm at that point right now in the build of the well for the treadle stone I'm restoring. I got to attach these two pieces of wood. As you can see, I finished up the tapered sliding dovetail joints, and everything is good and right with the world there, and the bottom is good and flush, ready to be affixed to the other piece. So how am I going to affix the piece? A lot of people this day and age would just glue it and screw it and call it a day. I'm going to try and keep it as period as I can, since it's an old piece, it's an antique. And yes, I'll show you guys the treadle stone when it's all done, but I'm not going to glue it and screw it. I'm going to use the boat joint that I talked about in my last video, where you pound that wire into the rim and then shave it down to where it's all flush, and that's going to take a little bit of time to do it right. And then once that's done, I'll put the bottom on, and then I will pound these guys into it. These are called cut nails. I'm sure it's not a new thing for most of the people watching this channel, but for some people this is going to be new. And although I'm not new to cut nails, I've known what cut nails were for a long time, but I've never really driven. I don't have a whole lot of experience driving these other than antiques that I've restored and such. So this is kind of a new topic for me, all on its own. So I went onto YouTube. I thought, well, I can't just drive this in. It's going to split my wood, right? So I started, doing my research, and lo and behold, there's not a whole lot of information out there online or on YouTube about cut nails. So that's the main reason for this video, is to get some information out there about these suckers. All right, so I did a whole bunch of experimenting on different kinds of woods, softwoods, hardwoods. I didn't get to drive it into Purple Heart, which is the top piece that's going to be, well, the top of the drive. It'll be driving, the nails will be driving through the Purple Heart and into mahogany. So I didn't have any scrap Purple Heart. So what I did was I drove it through some ash and used it as my test piece, and then I drove it into some mahogany, which is the actual, just some scrap from the piece that I'm actually going to be driving it into. And what I revealed was this, right? Too close. All right, so I've got a mark there. You can't really see it all that great, but anyway, there's a mark right here. That's how far I have to drive it. So it had to get tight before it reached that point, and it did, and it was good. But it also had to not split the wood by the time it hit there, right? And it didn't start splitting the wood until it hit that mark that you guys can see pretty good. And then of course I drove it all the way home to actually break the two pieces in half so you could see this. So that is good, but I can't use one single drill bit to pre-drill this hole. There's a couple of different factors here, right? So this nail, this particular nail, don't mind the sandpaper, it's just one of my ways of doing it, is 2.5 inches long, right? So, and if I'm not mistaken, it is annotated really by how much it is right here at the top, how big it is at the top. So it's in my redneck way of measuring the cut nail, it's a 1/4 inch cut nail. So use that for reference in the future in the stuff that I'm going to be getting ready to say. If you drill it for this bottom half, then it's going to be too tight once you get up here to the top half, right? But if you drill it to this top half to where it won't split when you drive the top half in, then it's going to be it's not going to grab anything in your lower piece, the piece you're attaching it to, right? So what in my experiments, I drove it through both pieces and I used different drill bits. So I ended up using, and I'll try to reference these, I used a 9/64, only because I didn't have a 5/32, but I used a 9/64 for this bottom piece, and it's actually going to get driven halfway up, so right there. So it's a little bit smaller than the width of the widest part, and then I'm using a 3/16 on the upper board, right? So I'll be drilling this with, you know, the Purple Heart with a 3/16, and I'll be drilling a mahogany with a 9/64. Here's the other thing, right? Now, I was measuring to give me an idea of what drill bit to go with, but keep in mind that when you're dealing with something, this is square, not round, right? Or rectangular, more exactly, right? When you're dealing with a piece, right, that's square, this is the wide section, right? You have to go off of the diagonal, right? So the diagonal, and I'll try to explain that because I can't really see it, right? So you have to go not off the top and bottom there, but the top and bottom of that, right? That is going to be your widest point, right? So not this, but this. So that is, we'll just do it right in the middle to give a good average, right? So this in the middle of the nail on the wide side is 185 thousandths. I turn it up on edge and it's 215 thousandths, right? So you're talking 30 thousandths, right? Well, that's a 32nd of an inch, or a 64th on each side, right? Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. When you're driving and you're talking about driving the hard steel into hard wood, it's going to make a difference. Even if it's, you know, splitting the wood by one or two more hammer swings, it's going to split the wood where you could actually have 6 or 7 swings at it, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make a difference. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the topic that I wanted to discuss today was cut nails. Obviously, I want to drive all these home. I don't know yet. Keep this under 10 minutes since I said it was going to be quick. But I'm thinking, you know, I'll do the layout because I have to lay out exactly where the boards are. They're not exactly around the rim either. So I have to lay out where those are going to be, and then I have to figure out exactly how many I'm going to put along this rim. I don't know. But I'll lay it out and I'll drill it all. I'll drill out, what I'll do is I'll lay out where I want them and how many I want. Then I'll drill it with the 3/16 without, you know, obviously just this, not the bottom half. And then I'll set this on the bottom half. I'll clamp it to it exactly where I want it. And then I'll just kind of transfer those holes with this to give me the nick mark at the tip of the drill. Then I'll remove and then go in with the smaller bit. And then I'll drive it home. Because before I did all that, I will have already knocked the wire in, pounded the wire channel into the rim and planed it flush, which that should give me a weld depth of right at about 4 inches. And then for this part that you can see, obviously I went a little too far on my very first joint, so I had to make all of them the same. And so now we're good here, right? That looks like that's a pretty, the joints turned out really, really well, right? That top one's really good. And these look pretty good too, but I need to shape this somehow, like I was talking about. So I started looking at how I'm going to do this. I went ahead and laid out exactly kind of on the outside of the board where that, yeah, you can't really see it all that great, but it's there. And so now I know exactly where that's at. Now I can either come to it. I haven't quite figured it out, but I think I'm going to maybe come to it like this, right up close to, I'll make a mark so it's the same on both sides, and then I'll just trace it out along this French curve that I got for a birthday present last year. Thanks, Mom. And I'll do that, and then I can come back on the reverse side. I can come back use one of the other sections of this and maybe do another little recurve to kind of bring it out. So I'm going to do something kind of neat there, where maybe it kind of comes down and then maybe humps. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but it'll look neat, whatever I end up doing. The only thing is that I have to affix this top, or the bottom in this case, before I do that round off. That way I have the square bottom to work off of, to pound against. And then once that bottom's on there, then I can go to town on shaping this. And I may end up going with a mold. I don't know yet, but I'm going to use this as a way to beautify a screw up. We'll call it that, to keep the channel sort of clean. All right, so that's that. Well, not even 13 minutes. Nectar of the gods. So that's about that. If you're digging what I'm doing, I like to throw out things that I don't see, or give a different perspective to certain things. But as you can tell, my videos are drawn out because I'm showing you real time how the problems that normal people, I think I'm pretty normal, deal with woodworking joinery, you know, when you're doing it by hand and whatnot. So I like to think I bring a little bit different perspective. A lot of things I'm doing, I do for the first time, and those are the ones that you guys see. You guys don't see all the mundane stuff that everybody else already has the videos on, typically. But yeah, so if you're digging what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. If you think I suck, give me a thumbs down and go find another channel. Yeah. Subscribe if you want to. Friends and family, I love you. Everyone else, I'll see you on the next video. Till then, peace.